Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crush That Exam. My name is Dr. Erica Liggins, licensed clinical psychologist and exam coach. I am so excited to have yet another story of success of someone who has passed the EPPP. So, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hi, I am Dr. Alexandria Washington. I am a clinical psychologist who recently passed the EPPP. I'm so thankful to Erica and Crush the Exam team because it was a life-changing experience for me. A little bit about me, I was a behavior analyst. Initially, when starting the program, I actually had no psychology background. I was a child adolescent development major. So starting my program was it was a hard experience, but I stuck it through and it took me some years. I started January 2015 and I finally passed the EPPP in March 2024. So it's been almost 10-year struggle, but I stuck it through and I'm very grateful, very grateful.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that bit about the time. Because this is a marathon, not a sprint. And so, as the old saying goes, what is delayed is not denied, as they
Yeah.
say. So, what was your EPPP experience like prior to working with me?
So I would always think of myself as like a Goldilocks because I kept trying different things, different coaches, different maybe not coaches, but different strategies or groups. And some of those groups were very, very helpful. And some of the experiences I had were not helpful, but I needed to find a fit. And I will be honest, I did not study. I should have been studying the entire time, but like everyone else, I was just bogged down with work. When I initially came to Erica, I had just quit my fifth job. So I was s- still working four jobs. And I had just quit the fifth, and Erica was like, you have to prioritize, you have to stop working so much because you have to give that time to the EPPP. And I honestly kind of fought, and Erica wasn't the first one to say this to me, but I fought everyone else on it. But Erica was the one that helped me feel comfortable about making that choice and, saying like, you're gonna be okay. You just have to progress to get where you want to be. And I think just her loving, kind nature, and just her ability to kind of, I don't want to say treat me like a therapy client because I'm not a therapy client by any means, but coach me to the point where even though I myself am, a doctor as well, but we forget a lot of the things that we teach, we've learned, when anxiety comes, everything else kind of goes out the window. And so my experience beforehand was listening to audio on the way to work, 2 days a week, and just kind of here and there looking over some summaries, but nothing substantial. And so I was able to this time study a substantial amount of time. I took advantage of Erica's group study that she piloted, and I'm so grateful that I got piloted at the same time, because that really helped me hone in on, girl, you need to sit down and study because you can't run the streets anymore. You need to study. So I did, and that was life-changing for me. And now I know how to study. I know what I should be doing. Hopefully I never have another test again in my life, but but now I know what to do.
Absolutely. So, you passed on, was it your third attempt?
It was my fourth.
Fourth attempt. Okay, got it. And so you had really, gone through the gauntlet with this thing and trying different things, and you were overwhelmed, working a lot. And I remember those early conversations where I was like,
You can't do that.
can't do all that. So through this process, one of the things that really helped you is you really learned how to study and how to prioritize and how to sacrifice, which
Yes.
is what it takes to do this.
Yes.
And you took advantage of the parallel study sessions. I think you could be the spokesperson for it at this point because I think I saw you in just about every session for the
I
last,
was in all of them.
what, 2 or 3 months that I've been doing it.
Yes.
And I could count on seeing you. And look at where you are now. It was worth it.
It was worth it. And I am so excited because I know you mentioned you're going to be opening it up to professionals. And I'm definitely, I told you, I was like, you're going to be seeing me for the rest of my life because it just helps me organize things and gives me a time to focus and not be like, oh, the TV's on while I write these reports or whatever the case may be, or be on my phone. So I really am going to take advantage of those parallel study groups as long as possible.
Absolutely. So the parallel study sessions were monumental for you. So there's other aspects of the coaching, which is our weekly sessions, as well as the audio program that you listened at the very beginning of your journey to really give you my entire plan and strategies. So can you name maybe one or two other things that was really helpful from the program as a whole?
Sure. So meeting with you weekly or even every other week was really, really helpful to have that accountability of someone to say, hey, how's it going? And I know that there were times where I'd be like, "Oh, I didn't like finish all my notes, but you were so kind about it. You were never like, oh, well, we can't work together if you don't do, you were definitely understanding about the fact that life does happen. And I know initially when we started, you mentioned to me, I had a test date in January, and you were like, I don't think you're ready for that. And I was like, okay. And I think hearing that honesty, it wasn't like, okay, let's just see what happens. And it was like, no, I really don't think you're ready. And I think we need to appraise the situation again. And hearing, just thinking back on hearing those recordings initially was really helpful too, just to hear, okay, this is the snowball method, what plan you're going to choose or be on, what works for you. And I actually like that the plan was very like malleable. I didn't have to stick to the one snowball. Like if I needed to kind of tweak it a little bit, you were very open to say, okay, well, let's kind of roll that over, but we do need to finish, let's say, clinical by XYZ. So I think that was really, really helpful to know there's a plan and I have it. But if life happened, I wasn't kind of punished for not getting the plan done, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because this thing is a journey
Yeah.
and life doesn't stop lifing.
No, never.
So that's the beauty, I think, of this program is that everyone is doing the same program, but the way that it shakes out is a little bit different for each person. So I really, preach to people we have to be firm yet flexible. So firm in that we are following a plan, because,
Mhm.
like you said before, not having a plan doesn't work.
Right.
But at the same time, it has to be flexible for your learning style, for your life, and what comes up along the way. So it really takes all of these pieces, the plan, the audio program to give you the plan, the weekly or every other week sessions to really hold you to it, and then the group study sessions in between
Yes.
to really help you to see it all through. So I'm glad that you felt so supported. And, I've been kicking myself like, why didn't I start those study sessions sooner? But I'm so grateful to the coaching client that did give me that idea. They forever changed the game for everyone.
Yes.
And now I can't imagine not doing them.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Can you
agree.
imagine if you didn't have it?
I probably still wouldn't be studying because I studied on my own, but it was a lot of the parallel study groups that helped me not look at my phone, not, attend to my dog if she's going crazy or whatever the case may be. It really helped me focus. And I know a lot of people don't love the whole camera on idea, but honestly, that helps. It
That
helps
is
so
the
much.
only reason why it works. Because if
Yeah.
the camera was off, we would be doing crazy stuff. We'd be on
Yeah.
our phones, we'd be doing whatever.
Yeah.
The camera on is what makes it work. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that, your experience with that. So as much as the program was helpful and everything, there's still really challenging parts of going through this journey, even once you have a coach and all the support. So what was the hardest thing that you had to overcome while going through my coaching program?
Hmm. That's a great question. Can I speak to like, would it be like personally or would it be like related to the
Hey,
program? Anything?
anything maybe within yourself that came up or parts of the program that were hard. Yeah.
I think the program was great. I think for myself, I really, and I knew that I struggled with anxiety, test anxiety, generalized anxiety, all the kinds of anxieties. And I think Erica speaking to that, I know I'm supposed to be talking about something that wasn't as helpful, but Erica speaking to her own experience with the exam and my, and then us having similarities with that experience, I feel like that really helped me overcome my own personal getting in my way, honestly. And I think I mentioned that to Erica often. Like, I just feel like I'm getting in my own way by not doing what I need to do. And it was just like, why can't I do it though? There was nothing physically stopping me. But I think personally having debt, um, I'm just being put it
Motivated.
out there. Having debt and like a significant amount of debt was like, do I want to keep doing this? Like, I'm just putting these exams on credit cards and hoping for the best, And I think I had to have a come to Jesus moment and say, okay, we're either going to continue being in debt and do nothing about it and not pass this exam, or we're going to finally do what we need to do, get licensed, overcome that anxiety. Because even though it's hard, you can do it. And that's what happened. So I think just financially, there was a lot on my mind, a monkey on my back, as I used to always say. And my anxiety, those were twofold, the biggest hurdles that I did have with this entire experience.
Absolutely. I tell you, the anxiety piece, it's like dirt in the engine.
Mm, yeah.
It just clogs everything up. And I know it took a lot for me to overcome my own anxiety for sure through this process. And watching people overcome it though is really beautiful, because it hits you every step of the way. Like when you're, studying for the first time and really following the schedule and this plan, and you're like, is this really going to work? Like,
Mm,
and the anxiety is just pumping out thoughts, and it can make you sabotage yourself. It can make people not follow the snowball method, which we know really works, but
right.
it can just get in your head and make you think a lot of things. Also, it can sabotage people on test day, right?
Yeah.
And our last conversation that we had before you went in there, we had to be like, okay, what are we going to do with this anxiety? Because you were clearly ready. Like, I
Mhm.
was not worried about your capacity and ability to pass this exam at all. But that anxiety was trying to sabotage you, but you turn that around. Do you want to say just maybe one thing that you did on your exam day that helped to shake you out of that really debilitating anxiety that you were feeling? Because I mean, you were feeling physically sick from it. That's how bad it was getting. And I can relate.
Yes, yes. And just to touch on that, it was really bad. And I would write to Erica and be like, I'm just throwing up. Like my anxiety was becoming debilitating, more debilitating than normal. And I think the one thing that was probably the game changer was Erica mentioned, talk to your doctor about seeing if you can get something for your anxiety physically. So I was already taking anxiety medication, but I needed something else to hit those physical symptoms of just because my leg during every single exam, probably, I'm surprised it hasn't fallen off because it goes like 3,000 miles a minute. And I'm focusing on my somatic symptoms instead of exam information. And it was happening to me even while I studied. So, and it continued throughout. And it was just the constant buildup of like, even though you failed, like, are you still a failure? And I think that is, what was helping. And once I did on exam day, well, a couple weeks prior, I got the medication. I took it so that I could be okay. And then on exam day, I took it twice. I actually stopped, took a big break, and I took it again. I took it in the morning, and then I took it again during the exam to make sure I didn't have a symptom in sight. But I feel like that was probably the most game changing, along with, I know you said one thing, but along with positively speaking to myself. I always tell you, like, you mentioned to me, my automatic negative thoughts are not a crystal ball to this exam or my life in general. And I'm always going to hold that thought with me, because that helped me be like, oh, yeah, duh. Like, none of these things you think about, they don't have to come to fruition just because you're thinking about them. And so I think those two things were tenfold, probably the most reason I passed, and because I studied, but those two things, those two things really, really helped me.
Yes, it ensured that all that studying paid off.
Yes, that's true. And I kept talking to you about that too. I was like, but Erica, what if like I finally study, right? And then I still fail? And you were like, well, let's talk about it, like, what is that going to mean? And that was very meaningful as well.
You have to just disarm the thoughts.
Yes.
We just got in there, we just disarmed them, we invalidated them, we found the distortions and got rid of them. And then you replace them with some healthier thoughts and a little bit of medication to smooth it out on top, which was perfect. And
Yes.
thank you for being open about using medication and things like that, because sometimes helping professionals, we can tell everyone else to do these things, but we have our own sometimes hangups and internalized stigmas and things like that, ableism, where we feel like we shouldn't have to use that, or oh, I don't want to give them the satisfaction of knowing I needed medication or accommodations or whatever it is. So thank you for your openness about that. And I hope that that really, touches someone and helps them to release a block that they may have. Because Lord knows I was medicated on my test day too, along
Yeah.
with essential oils all over me. I was
Yes.
praying, I was visualizing, I was doing it all.
Yes.
Now, I have two final questions. The first one is, what would you say to someone who is considering my services, but they're on the fence, they're not sure? What would you say?
I would say do it. Erica, or Dr. Liggins, has been the most financially supportive coach. And I spoke to her about that during our first appointment. I was like, wow, like, it's so cheap. And she was like, because I want to help people. And I was like, okay, this is my girl. Okay, I'm gonna, work with her because she wants to help us. And I'm not saying anybody else is just in it for the money. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying that she understands that this process does cost us a lot of money, and it can be a deterrent when things are very expensive, when we're 9 times out of 10, we're pre-licensed and we're not able to make a lot of money. Or if we do make a decent amount, we're working very hard to get that amount of money. So I think that that was very helpful.
Yes, and look how much support it took, right? You used every bit of my services. So if things were priced differently, you wouldn't have been able to use all of that support.
No,
And that's one of the things I hear all the time is that people will start coaching services, but due to the lack of accessibility because of the price point, they can't sustain it. We worked together. I mean, how many months was it?
I believe I started October,
October. Okay.
like
So
6 months.
6 months?
Mhm.
Right. Like,
That would have been, and I was one of those people that I started with other coaches, and I was like, I can't afford to keep going. So it was just kind of like, okay, paid that for I don't know what.
fall off, go back to unhelpful habits, and then we have another failed attempt, and then we keep spending more, and it's just this horrible
Like,
cycle. But because things were affordable, you were really able to get the support you needed for the duration.
yes, yes. And I was able to see all that money I put in finally pay off.
Absolutely. So the last question, now that you are free from the EPPP, what are things you're looking forward to both professionally and personally?
Definitely professionally, I want to start my own business. I do testing, and so I am hoping to be able to expand my testing. Now that I am halfway licensed, I still got to take ethics, law and ethics, but I'm gonna get there. And once I'm licensed, that's my goal professionally. And personally, I have a lot. I want to get out of debt. I need to get married, and I should start a family soon. So there will be a lot of changes, and I'm very, very, I know I keep using the word grateful, but I'm very grateful that Erica instilled in me from the beginning when we first met. These are the goals you want to hit. How are we going to get there? And I was able to be like, okay, yeah, I can't keep putting off getting married. I can't keep, I have to live life. And everybody kept saying, don't worry about the EPPP, just live your life, like just get married. I'm like, I can't. I need to finish this. And I was able to finally do that. And so I'm gonna be able to start my life, honestly.
Absolutely. And I want to throw one thing in there that you told me about from the beginning was buying a home.
Oh yes, yes, I forgot.
Can't forget that.
Cali. I'm in Cali, so it's a little different. I mean, just kidding.
True. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
But yes, buying
We
a
pray
home,
for
yes.
y'all out there. It's expensive. So, I'm just really excited for you. I knew this day would come, and it's just so fun to sit here with you now and see it all
Yes,
come to fruition. So, I wish you nothing but tons of prosperity, lots of free time, free time
yes,
for working 5 jobs,
yes.
and just joy as you embark on all these beautiful milestones to come.
Yes, yes. And I will say you are still going to see me because I am doing the parallel study groups for my law and ethics exam so that I can continue the momentum. So, even if you you're a person and you still need to pass another exam, I would say just continuing to have what worked. Like why change it if it or what is it? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll help you get your private practice started too. So
Yay!
we're not done with each other yet.
We're not done.
We have lots more fun. Now this is where the fun comes. This is
Yes.
the fun part. So beautiful. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you so much. I really wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So I really I can't wait to see how many more people's lives you're able to change and support and just be a blessing too.